Well, happy Friday. It's Kate at Kate's Garden Chicken and Cat Rambles. It's a little windy. I'm going to try to stay out of the wind. Just kind of mild gusts because I didn't put the microphone on. But it's a Friday. Another week has passed in adventures with chickens. If you follow me on Facebook, under my Facebook channel, you'll know that I got bloodied up pretty good by Laddie yesterday. He hit a vein that runs right through my thumb. It bled like crazy. I had reached down to dump that little green waterer and refill it, and he flogged my hand. And it bled like crazy. What my mama call it? I bled like a stuck pig. That's what she would say. And it hurt. It feels really bruised, but because there's not a lot of meat and flesh there on my hand between the spot, and kind of hit right on the bone, and there's a nerve, not a nerve, but a vein that runs down there, and he nicked that. So yesterday I was at the grocery store. I had a Band-Aid on, and I bumped it against the cart, and then it started bleeding and running out of the Band-Aid. And so anyway, but yeah, I mean, it hurt like hell, but I didn't realize how much blood until I started. Blood was dripping down there, other blood drops, and all down my hand. Jerk face. So everyone's doing well. I'm happy to say that Miss Luna there, my silver lace Wyandotte, returned from spring break. I can right now I have all brown egg layers since brown ones passed. And Kiba has been laying on a daily basis. This is her sister Neve. And there's Kiba over there with Luna, but Luna's eggs are a darker brown. I mean, they're not real dark brown, but they're a darker shade of brown than the Brahmas. So there's the young ones, and I made them a bit of a lean-to thing over their feet. I had a part of a weird shaped pallet from the sign company, and then I had a single piece left of the plastic that I used on the roof that was once a plastic billboard sign for a vaping company. And this pallet had like a weird lip on it, and at the bottom it had all these nails and staples where she's pecking because it's like grass and bugs, but that I could not remove. And before I dismantled it, I thought, you know what, that will work. I wanted a spot where they could use like a porch. I noticed them on hanging out there on the little walkway. You can't really see it, that goes up to their inside their coop. They just have to hop up there and walk on in. And of course they poop like crazy on it, but when it's sprinkling or raining, the little bit of cover from the roof isn't really enough. But I noticed they wanted to be outside. And chickens don't really like the heat, but on other times they want to be outside, but you know, it's too sunny, which has not been very often, or it's, you know, sprinkling. So I wanted to be able to have their food outside, even on days that it's sprinkling or raining, and they can sit under there. Laddie, this isn't about you. They can sit under there, they can have their food. You know, really, really bad weather, I could put their water under there, but they can walk. Oh my God, he is just, they can step out their door and walk around that corner, walk along, point where she's at, and go right in there and still be under the cover. There's enough of an overhang, but the overhang is going to hang over that, so anything that comes off the roof, most everything that comes off the roof is, because the plastic has flex to it, actually there is a tilt to the back and to the kind of back left, because that's where the old driveway is. So underneath the grass you can't really see, but there's the ruts that go down the driveway, so that will, any water that runs off their roof will kind of just run down to the street. But so, they haven't minded. I'm going to from their roof make more of a little above the white thing, a little bracket that I can just kind of spin down to hold it in case the wind blows, so it can't blow it off. But so it's not permanently affixed. And I think that'll be fine. It is not as wide as the side of the coop, so wind can't be really blown from the west. Of course, wind could snake under there and lift it. But I will probably put a few. I've been using, of course, I have to drill them slow, but using a few a metal tin roof. Oh my God! Tin roof screws that self-tapping and have the little rubber grommet, you know, to keep water from coming through. I've been using that on the plastic kind of for the same reason. And of course they're very sharp, but you have to drill them really slow or that stuff just cracks and splinters and chips. But anyway, so that's where we're at. Of course, Laddie, you know, if I'm out here talking, making a video, he's got to be all up in my grill. Yeah. So we're gonna walk around and say hey to the other chickens. It's Friday, Laddie. Can you just chill? So let's see. There's the Rhode Islands are up there. They come out and run around the yard, especially if I come out with treats, but that's where they feel safe. Nobody really messes with them. I mean, Laddie wants some, he's mated, he has covered and mated with a marigold, but Pixie, I think is still just a little too young to be really interested in him. And I think she is just she's probably close to the age of laying, but she doesn't squat down for him. He's tried to mate with her, and he can successfully mate with them. Yesterday I saw him attempting with the Brahmas again, and they're just too big. Even when they squat down, he just can't get the job done. So here's Colum and Moira and Lyra, the cream-crested leg bars in their little yard. I use that little folding stool to hold their water and food today while I was changing things out, so I just left it. So that's Moira. Top of her crest is all gray, as you can see. This is Lyra. She's got the little white shock of white feather. And then this, of course, is Colum the Roo. He is so pretty. I love his patterning. Oops, sorry. And then, of course, there are the Leghorn Gold Lace Wyandotte crosses. And they still haven't come up with any more color on their feathers. The way the sun's glaring, I can't even see if I'm filming them. But Daisy is still pretty much all white. I thought I was seeing some little gray tips on her one day, but she just had been dust bathing. And Flower still just has those few black feathers on top, so who knows? Things could change as they get older. They are only, let's see, they've been here a month, and they were probably 4 to 6, so at the most they're 10 weeks, so I think they're about 10 weeks old. And these guys, of course, are 12 weeks, right at 3 months old. Let's see, their birthday was the 18th of January. So they're a little over 2 months, I guess. Almost 3 months. Was it the 18th of January? Yeah, I think it was the 18th of January. So, I know they're more than 8 weeks, so yeah, they're 10, 11 weeks old, I'm assuming. And so I think they're, just a week or two ahead of the others, but they're just a different type of bird. But Colin is so pretty. You're so handsome. I'm sorry, I know. Guys are handsome, girls are pretty. But there are some guys that are pretty and some girls that are handsome. And back in the 1800s, handsome went for both women and men. Yeah. Yeah, look at your little comb. He's so pretty, his patterning. But as you can see, they can get under there and sit, and they can't come in contact with any of those little nails and stuff in between there, which they look like they're actually more like staples, really long, like 1.5 inch staples that they used in getting those things out. It's a nightmare because they're so deeply embedded in this top board right here that you can't even really pry them out. And they've been in there so long, and this is an old piece of pallet, that if I tried to hammer them, they would just bend and break, which I could have done that first, but wasn't gonna be bothered. So yeah, I'll use something to keep wind from catching it and blowing it, but any of the wind that could do it comes straight out of the west, and I just don't think it's gonna happen, but you never say never. What? Hi, Colum. Hi. I was feeding them clover yesterday, but they're not quite. He was a little more shy. The girls come right up and take it out of your fingers. He's like, I'm not sure, Mom, because every time I get close to you, you pick me up and snuggle me. That was when you were younger. Yeah. So they're doing well. Very well. I'm happy with them. They've still been having their heat in the evening, at night, because of their ages. I mean, he's fully feathered, and he and his sisters could probably handle it if I didn't, but these nights that are in the mid to low 40s, and we got a couple nights down in the 30s again. Here in Delaware, April can have, rear some nasty cold weather, some ice, and sometimes a few days of just freezing temperatures. So, but during the day, I keep their heat off because, as you can see, how light it is under there, that plastic, that's on their roof keeps the inside of their coop from being like this black dungeon, and lets sunlight in. They love to hang out back here, which of course, like you see that, even though that looks open, there's actually a board on the inside, so nothing could crawl in. And it's a great day. I don't know why the inside chickens out, the big chickens are out more, but they have their thing. So I mowed the other day, the day after Miss Hope, the rescue, passed away. She was the meat bird that Paul saw fall off a truck and brought home. And she lived 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks with us. And I mean, everything seemed normal. She was eating and drinking, pooing normal, looking like she was, wanting to really be a chicken. And then in one day's time, she was great in the morning, and then by the evening, she was very agitated and wing flapping and couldn't get comfortable. And I swaddled her up so she wouldn't hurt herself, and tucked her in with me. And then, as I was watching late night TV, she just she went to sleep. She kind of makes a little coo noise when she'll go to sleep. And then I heard a little squawk and felt her flap her wing, and when I reached down to pet her head, she was like gone that quick. So those were probably like her death throes. And she wasn't like, I don't know, to me she didn't seem like a meat bird or like a broiler people raise, where you would broil the whole bird because the whole bird is edible. She was all breast. She didn't have much in the way of thighs or legs, and I don't think she would have ever walked because her little toes kind of curled up, they really curled up because she had been on, and they had these big calluses on the bottom where she had been on a grate, probably some sort of hardware wire her whole life. But her last 2 days were peaceful, and she knew what love and kindness was, and that's the most we could do. Paul was very sad. He did bring me some little cut flowers the next morning because he knew, I can be stoic and keep my tears to myself and deal with the death, but he knows that it still, weighs on my heart, and that I didn't sleep all night because I didn't want to have nightmares about it. Yeah, it's Big Mouth. Big Mouth. You guys went to last year blueberries? They are off beans for blueberries, which everybody, if you have chickens, you know that they love blueberries. And blueberries are typically small enough because chickens don't chew, they don't have teeth, they swallow them whole. I watched a video where a guy gave grapes to his some of his bantam breeds. I think one was a Serama, and he didn't cut them up and filmed it, poor bird choking to death. Black vulture. I can tell by the little white on the underneath side of its wings. Oh, look. Everyone is having a spa day. Hi. Hi, Neve. Yeah, I know there's... You and your sister better be laying today. There's no taking off on Friday. He really likes the Brahmas, but because of their tail and their size, I haven't seen him be able to, when he gets on them to cover them, be able to get past her tail and her size. He just pretty much does his business in midair or on her tail feathers. It's kind of gross, but you know, that's how chickens do it. So I made a bunch of baked garlic, and what I didn't use, the tops I cut off, I threw out here. They like garlic, it's good for them. But back to the blueberries. Blueberries are very good for your chickens. And I prefer the ones that come out of Peru or Chile to eat, because Chilean blueberries and Peruvian blueberries are sweeter, tastier. Right now our store has them from Mexico, and they're just not as sweet and yummy. But these guys love them. And they're small enough that they can just swallow them whole. They do love grapes, and I did bring them all grapes yesterday, but because the grapes were so good and I was eating them, and I was like, these are so sweet, the chickens will love these. But I sliced them in half and then sliced them up in pieces, in little wedges, so that if they swallowed them whole, there's no way they could choke, you know. And I always go through my grapes and find the few that are, to me, seem a little too soft for me to eat, but they loved them. Of course, you know, they would run around with a grape in their mouth, and you know, there's plenty of grapes on the ground to eat, but you know, if one of them picked up one and took off running, they're all like, that must be the tastiest one, we must chase her down. And even the little birds had their first grapes. At first they were just like, these aren't blueberries, Mom, but then they were like, these are so yummy. But right now it's probably in the mid to high 50s, but right under the sun it is kind of warm. I have a thin flannel on over a t-shirt, and the sun to my back, and it's quite warm. But spring is here, and I've got to finish cleaning out the garden, and I really need to go up front and clean out the flower garden. The lilies and the tulips are coming up and blooming, but the lilies are starting to they're probably a good 3 or 4 inches of their leaves are coming up, so I've got to clean out the grass, and then I'm going to put a lot of mulch around all of them, and then I'll decide midway, once they're just about done, because my lilies will bloom off. They bloom at different times all through the summer. I got day lilies, and so I may just keep mulch around them this year, and I may, you know, intersperse a few annuals and plant maybe a few perennials that will come back, because I know I do still have salvia coming up there also. But between the birds and focusing on the garden, I'm just, my little starts are all going to, like I said before, going to go into big buckets, which I will set out there where I have all that weed mat in the garden. And like where the okra, I've stomped some of those big stalks down, but I worked on them a little bit yesterday, but as the day went on, my right hand, which is of course the one that Laddie flogged, it's right there on that thumb. It's painful to grip and pull, but because of the septic, you know, we're just not going into the ground. And I just think I felt a raindrop on my head, or as a high altitude bird poo. Hope not, but anyway, that's just a little bit of a Friday video of the chickens and me rambling, and everyone's doing well. And it's supposed to be really rainy tomorrow. Whatever storms are coming from the west, we'll see, but we'll just be hanging out here, me and my chickens. So everybody have a great weekend. I hope your spring is coming in as pretty as ours is starting to come in. Sending you love and thanks. Please hit you with a thumbs up if you enjoy the video. You guys have a great weekend. Bye for now. All right, there they go, going crazy for some blueberries and grapes. Usually the Rhode Island Reds will come out with them. Luna could be for being a particular cranky head hen, so you never know. Look, girls, look. Come on, I'm trying to film you eating your blueberries. They're like, we love blueberries and grapes. Come on. Oh yeah. If I can get some, toss some. Oh, land in your bowl. Yeah. Okay. Little piglets. Let's take the rest to the little baby chickens. So, one stalk of the grapes was smaller, felt a little mushy, so I just cut them in half, slice them in long quarters, and then cut them up so the birds can't choke. I would be horrified if I gave my birds something that made them choke to death. Hey ladies, hey guys, look. Oh, I know. It's fruits, Mom. We love fruit. Okay. Just a little bit of fruit, something different. Yeah? Well, it doesn't take long for them to figure out that there's something out there that they want. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit you with a grape. I'm like, oh, that's so good. And there's grit down in that area too, so. And I dumped a little pile of grit right there in front of that stump. Which, where they're out in the yard, there's plenty of, they do forage enough that I know they're getting, eating little pebbles, but I wanted to make sure that they were getting a proper amount of grit, since now that I'm giving them some treats and a little bit of scratch in the morning to encourage foraging, and that, if your chicks and your young birds eat nothing but starter grower food, they can digest that without the grit. But I always give my chicks, once they hit about a couple weeks old, I buy a really fine Do More, which this isn't, I'm not sponsored, or there's probably many other companies. Do More comes out of Tractor Supply, but they make a chick grit that's really, really fine crushed granite. And small enough that even the littlest baby chicks can peck at it, and they will. And look at, you've had yours, Miss Luna. You can paste their fence all you want, but they're having their grapes and blueberries. She's like, yeah, but I'm a bigger bird. I wanted more. But there they are, enjoying their little treat. All right, guys, go get your drink of water. Yeah, they do love hanging out back here between the fence and the shed. And it's just something that I mentioned in another video, that birds like to get in places like that, long, narrow places. It makes them feel safe. And of course, they have mesh all above them, so nothing can swoop down and get them. Yeah, it's kind of why I leaned against getting a bunch of white birds. I mean, I think they're lovely, but they're easy targets. But with a couple roosters, I don't think, and I'm gonna have to worry about, and when they're all out in the yard, hopefully by the time they join the gen pop, I will have the hawk net up. Once again, it's just a matter of me being able to come out here. I'm gonna need Paul and dig a deep enough hole and set that big 2 by 8 by 12 that I'm going to use as the center pole for the hawk net. All right, I'm gonna go, and I'll just add this to the end of the other video. You guys have a great weekend. Bye.